Hello everyone, today I will show you a few basic things you must know to start using this machine. Let's start with the needles. They have two positions. When they are close to the scale they are out of working position and the raised ones are in working position. The needles must not be raised above the bed. If you raise the needles all the way, the strippers will crash into them and you can even break some of them, so make sure there are no needles raised all the way. Take the orange ruler and use it to raise the needles or to arrange them in one-to-one division. The lines on the diagram are showing the working needles. The dots are showing needles which are out of working position. The next important thing is the racking handle. When the racking handle is in its lowest position, the needles are positioned in a zigzag manner and you can raise them all the way. When the racking handle is in its upper position, the needles will be opposite to each other. You can't raise them all the way. On each pattern there must be an indication for the racking handle, but after knitting a few things you will get used to it. These are the edge springs. You have to place them on the last needles on both beds. They are meant to keep the last stitches on the last needles. To move the edge spring, pull it back with your finger and slide it sideways. You must close the latch on the needle before placing the edge spring, or you can raise the needle all the way up, then put the edge spring on top and pull it back to its working position. This is the trigger for the row counter. It must be positioned between the edge springs. This way, every time you move the lock over it, the row counter will add one row. On the left side of the machine, near the racking handle, you will see a metal lever. Push it to the right and with your other hand raise the pushers. The pushers are used for special patterns. There are pushers on the back bed too. You can raise them the same way. These three buttons on the bottom of the lock are for the pushers. You can find the same buttons on the back lock too. When the pushers are under the rail, they are out of working position. When they are above the rail, they are in resting position, and if they are raised 1 cm above the rail, they are in working position. If you press the right arrow key, the resting and the working pushers will change their places each time when the lock goes to the right and will stay in the same position when the lock moves to the left. If only the left arrow key is pressed, the pushers will change their places when the lock moves to the left. If both arrows are pressed, the pushers will change their places when you move the lock in both directions. Press the 0 key between the arrows to disengage them. These are the strippers. When you knit they are pushing the yarn, and that's why you can knit without using weights most of the time on this machine. First, let's look at the orange ones. They are slimmer than the black ones and you have to use them for double bed knitting. Insert them on both sides of the lock. The black strippers are slightly bigger and you have to use them in single bed knitting. They are pushing harder on the yarn, so it will be very hard to move the lock if you try to use them for double bed knitting. You can attach them the same way as the orange ones. In every pattern there will be an indication for the strippers, but the basic rule is orange strippers for double bed knitting and black strippers for single bed knitting. There are the same dials on both sides of the lock. the NX lever, the stitch size selector in the middle and the pattern selector dial. The pattern selector dial works only in combination with the X on the NX lever. You must rotate it only when the lever is set to N. When the lever is set to X, the dial won't move. Now you can see all the options on this machine. When the lever is set to N, the machine will ignore the position of the pattern selector dial. Before you start knitting your project, you must make a cast on. In the manual there are plenty of options for the cast on depending on your project. After you make the cast on, you can start to knit the pattern. I will show you one example. As you can see, everything is shown in the picture. The racking handle must be in its lowest position and the black strippers must be inserted. You must set the lock as shown in the picture, GX on the back lock and N on the front. 2R means that you have to knit 2 rows. I will explain the diagram for the needles and the pushers in a second. After you knit these 2 rows, you have to set the lock to the other settings, GX on the back bed and AX on the front. Then you have to knit 4 rows. But this is not suitable for beginners. In the book you will find many simple patterns like this one, a fisherman's rib. This is the double eye bodkin tool. You have to use it for transferring the stitches. I will transfer the stitches from the back bed to the front bed of the machine according to the diagram. This is the same diagram from the previous example. By the way, this is footage for the video where I am knitting this lace. You can check it out. I am showing all the steps to make it. You simply have to attach the double eye tool to the hook of a needle, then pull it all the way until the stitch slips behind the latch and push it back until the stitch is attached to the double eye tool. You can use these tools to transfer multiple stitches on the same bed. For example, you can use them when making decreases. After you finish knitting, you must make a cast off before you take your work off the machine. In the manual there are a few options, but most of the time you must increase the stitch size by 1 number and knit 1 zigzag row with the machine set to N on both sides. This is the yellow tool. It has a hook on one side and a transferring tool on the other. And this is the orange tool. You will need them to make the cast off. Pull the knob on the right side of the machine to lower the front bed, then crochet off the stitches. I'm making a chain stitch cast off. I will explain it in more detail in my other videos, and now it's time for some important tips. If you jam the machine, you must follow these steps. Make sure the lever is set to N and rotate the pattern selector dial to G. Then move the lever to X, so both locks must be set to GX. Now take out the strippers. If you can't remove the strippers, don't pull hard because you can break a needle or damage the strippers. Use something to push the needles and pull the stripper gently. After removing it, move the lock carefully to either side and remove the yarn from the needles. If the machine doesn't knit, make sure the eyelet is inserted the right way. Only the tip of the eyelet must be visible. And one pro tip, don't wear bracelets and roll up your sleeves before using the machine. That's all for today. Thank you for staying with me. Have a nice day and see you in my next video.